Well, maybe a month ago or so, I started working on these additions on my pole barn. I was up to 6 foot at that time, I think, and I got rained out. I have come back and I've got it up to 8 foot, and I need 10 foot on this outside wall. This wall, of course, is going to taper up with the roof line, but I like a 10-foot wall here finished. So I need to figure out what the height needs to be when I include my king trusses. Now these two sides are going to be closed, but this opposite end is going to be open. So this end here I'm intending to leave open. I may put a couple of steel gates in here so I could secure it, but I'm not really too worried about the weather. I just want a place to put equipment and possibly hay in out of the rain and snow. So that's my goal on this side. The other side is going to be a little different. So this is what would be the east side. The other side obviously is west, but I'm going to enclose both north-south walls, and I'll put a railroad tie header across the top, and these will all be open bays from this direction. Now, prominent wind in the wintertime is from the southwest and northwest. So wintertime, this side will be the most protected. But this will be, well, it's 18 feet deep and about 26 feet long this direction. So that's the difference between the east side and the west side. So on both sides, I'm going to build 4, I guess they're called king trusses. I don't really know all this lingo, but there'll be one on the end, and then I have each of these railroad ties lined up with the main post inside the pole barn that's already existing. And I'm going to put a 2x6 and a couple deep that one end of the truss will lay on it, the other end will lay on the opposing railroad tie. And what I need to do now is figure out where I'm going to trim off these railroad ties for the right height. So what I've done from this drip edge, whatever it's called, a foot something or other, I've measured up 10 feet, but the bottom of my king truss is going to be a 2x6 on edge, a sheet of OSB, and another piece of 2x6 sandwiched, and then I'm going to come up 4 foot on one end, taper down to 7.5 inches on the other end. And these boards I have here will stand vertically on the end of these king trusses and tie them all together. There's a fancy term for that. I'm a wagon builder, not a pole barn builder. But these will stand up, and that'll cap each of these king trusses off, kind of like a fascia would, whatever. So my 2x6 is 5.5. I'm going to come up with another balance to 7.25, so that my total height outside will be 10 feet. So I have a magnetic attachment on my laser level. I'm going to set that into pulse mode, and I've got it set where the top of my ties want to be, where it'll actually be, this will be where the base of the king truss will set. So I'm going to take my receiver and mark out where the top of these railroad ties need to be cut off at. And my receiver is pretty sensitive to this bright light, so I found I need to kind of shield that. Okay, it's real sensitive. Right there is where I want to trim it off at. This might be more accurate than I can do with a chainsaw. Well, I got it kind of marked with my marker, but it's really, a black marker is tough to see against my black tie. So I've put a 2x6 and about right there, right at the top of my 2x6. That'll give me a little more visual. I have a level on my laser, so I may put a level on here and use that as a little more of a guide to where I can cut off the top of that tie. Maybe with the level on top here, I can tell where that needs to be. Right about there. So if I do the next tie, I can put in my next section here. Looks like it's going to be 11 3/4, so minus 1.5 inches. I need my uprights at 10 1/4, then put my 1.5 inches across, and that'll also give me a plane that I can saw across, kind of use as a measurement as well. Right there. Also 11 3/4. So I'll just go ahead and put my next top plate in, and that'll give me a good straight line to measure to and cut off. Well, we got the tops trimmed off, so I got my top plate where I want it to be. It'll be for my 10x10. I've got to put some type of a ledger plate. I'm going to go vertical across the center. I'll have 3 there that'll support the king trusses. But we're about close to 6 o'clock, and I've got some other things to do. You can tell I became a real mess with that creosote cutting those railroad ties. I went pretty well with that little Makita 14-inch saw. It's just so light, it's really nice and handy. I did have to sharpen it a couple times, but I've used that saw and that blade quite a bit, So when I got to this last high, it was starting to walk a little bit, and when I got it cut off, I kind of nosedive and was a little bit too low. So I ended up taking off that top plate and trimming it to my upright, and then just running my top plate clear out, because I took a little more time and actually had my Husky, my big saw, and I got it squared up, so I just ran that out. So that's where one king truss will set, and I'll have another one on this post and another one on this post, and then the one on the end, of course, it has really good support. So I'm going to put my tools away. I've got some yard work to do. On the weekends I usually try to get the yard mowed up. I'm going to go do that and get out of these creosote clothes. I'll see if I can make it back out in the morning. We'll see how it goes. Well, it's a really pleasant morning this morning. We're kind of overcast. They got a slight chance of rain. They're calling it 70% for about an hour. Not much accumulation, but you can see in kind of the south-southwest that it's storm clouds are passing through. So we'll see how we go. It's kind of got the sun blocked out, which makes it really pretty nice. I'm going to try to get my uprights that are going to support my king trusses up against this building. I've got it marked out where my inside supports are, if I can find where it is. I got one right here. It's going to be kind of centered right here. And then I've got the center of the next one. It's going to be right up against this rib. But these are 8-inch wide inside, so I have plenty to fasten to. So I'll try to get that accomplished this morning and see if I can't get the base of these king trusses kind of in place. This is part of the joy of working alone, trying to figure out how to get this in position. I got my mark here where I need to be. I gotta go up another 2.5 inches or so. Yeah, right there. That will hold it in place. The center is right about center. And I'll load that up, and I'll probably put some screws in there to secure that one. So that'll get her where I need to measure from. So the truss on my outside is going to fit right here, and I have just 3.5 inches between this first rib and where I want the outside of the wall to be. So here I can get away with just sticking the 2x4. My king truss is going to be 2 2x6s, 3, and then my 7/16 OSB, so it's going to fit right on this 2x4. So I can go ahead and just use that. So I like to check my distances from this wall to my outside wall. So I'm just going to put some cleats on here that I can measure from. When they get actually finished, I'm going to put 2 more 2x6s outside here, so I'll have a 3-inch shelf for that king truss to rest on. When I set these corner posts a couple summers ago, I did attach stringers from the building out to try to get my right distance. I don't know that I've got it 100%. There's always little bows, irregularities in these railroad ties. So I just want to take a little time and see if I am relatively close. And being by myself, it's difficult to attach a tape measure up the ladder, down the ladder, up the ladder, and keep that tape measure attached. So I'm just going to use this as my tape measure and move it down and see what we get. Well, my end post and this post are exactly the same. My second one in, I'm a 1/2 inch in. I may have to play with that a little bit. Now I look at it, I can kind of see it a little bit. Let's see what that end one looks like. Okay, we're a little close. This one is out just a bit. Yeah, we're out by 1/4 inch maybe. So I'll see what I can do to play with these a little bit. Bring this in just a fuzz. Yeah, we can make that work. Well, the thunderclouds are building to the west, kind of headed this way. It's supposed to be kind of a turbulent day. So I'm going to button this up. I do have a day job that supports my playing. So back to town, I'll go back to the shop and maybe work on that mud wagon. Appreciate you following along.